What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man, I'm going to talk about Daniel Jacobs versus Canelo Alvarez, which is coming up May 4th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Going to be a very, very big fight, man. And honestly, if it wasn't for it being Canelo Alvarez, I would pick Daniel Jacobs to beat him. And by the way, when I say Canelo Alvarez, I mean the scorecards that Canelo Alvarez gets. Now, most people who know this channel know I'm a big fan of Canelo Alvarez. I got him as my number 1A or 1A1 on the pound for pound list, man, because he's an absolute terrific fighter. But after listening to how Daniel Jacobs broke this fight down, I got to tell you, man, that I think that Daniel Jacobs has all the ability in the world to beat Canelo. And, that's no small task because, Canelo's a great fighter. So is Jacobs, but there's some things that are really going against Canelo in this fight. So I'm going to talk about that. Before I do, though, I want to welcome you back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe bell, hit the subscribe icon, then hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified of when we release more videos, which we do pretty much every day. And also, check out the live streams that we do Monday through Friday. Start time around 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, but actually between 10:45 and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And also what we do this on the weekends, OG Boxing Talk Sunday mornings, start at around 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. And also check out the Patreon. But now, let me get into this, tell you what Danny Jacobs had to say about the fight. And honestly, man, every word of this rings pretty true to me. He starts off talking about the fact that Canelo has troubles with southpaws. And that obviously is where the questions, he was being led with these questions. He said, I thought Lara beat him by at least 2 rounds, and I thought it was a close fight with Austin Trout, even though he beat Austin Trout. Obviously, it's evident that he's had some trouble with some southpaws, especially southpaws that know how to move. Canelo is a good athlete, but from a physical standpoint, it's inevitable for him to have trouble because he's so short. He fights good on the inside, but if he can't get on the inside, then he has trouble with cutting off the ring. He has great upper body movement, but he has bad lower body movement with his legs. And obviously, we've seen he's been having some knee problems and some knee issues lately. So I think time will tell to let you know exactly how Canelo will be able to handle that. I'm not a true southpaw, but I have some really, really good southpaw skills that I bring to the table. So I can give him some confusing looks, but I think for the most part, I'll just use my natural gifts and abilities, which is my reach, my range, and my jab. The only time will tell if I have to go southpaw. I might not even look to go southpaw. I think I'm going orthodox, and me knowing how to use my height and reach alone to me will be enough. But if I need to make adjustments, then I'll do so. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. And I think he's spot on about Canelo in that regard. Now, back to why I say Canelo Alvarez I have him as one of the pound for pound best guys. Because obviously, man, this dude's resume it's stacked with names. And he's a very, very good fighter, man. I love watching the way that he fights. His upper body movement he's one of the few guys in boxing that can take a break after getting hit by not moving his feet at all, but just stand there and just make you miss by slipping punches and countering you off punches that he slips. And that for me is my favorite style of boxer to watch. And Canelo has that, man. Canelo is excellent at that. Daniel Jacobs, though, is very right, obviously, about his height. Canelo Alvarez is what, like 5'7", might be 5'6", but just say 5'7", 5'8". I don't, man, he's not the tallest guy in the world. He's thick, but he's not the tallest guy in the world. And Daniel Jacobs, I think, is all of 6'1". Daniel Jacobs has an excellent jab. He has an excellent uppercut off that jab. And now I think as far as, if you look at the first fight the fights with Gennady Golovkin, I think that Daniel Jacobs has a lot in common with how Gennady Golovkin fights, in that he has a very nice, very stiff jab, very nice straight right hand. But I think he's faster than Gennady Golovkin. He might not have as much power as Gennady Golovkin, but I think the fact that he has more speed, and I think that he's going to be able to land more of them, is going to serve to cause Canelo Alvarez more problems than he experienced when he fought Gennady Golovkin. That would tell me that if it wasn't for Canelo Alvarez and the name recognition that Canelo Alvarez has, the amount of fans that Canelo Alvarez is going to have in the arena, the amount of money that's on the line for people, and that, where people have a vested interest in Canelo Alvarez winning. Not saying that it's just going to be outright corruption, but people have hopes, right? And they know who the money man is. They know who's paying. The WBC knows who's, and the WBA, and probably the IBF too. I think a little less so the IBF know, who's bringing in the big sanctioning fees. And that, I think, sometimes, man, might lead people to kind of hope, right, that type of thing can continue. Whether that's conscious or subconscious, I'm not going to get into that. It's just every time that I do watch fights, and it's not often I'm wrong when I do my political calculation about who's going to get who might get a call. And when Floyd Mayweather fought Canelo, I thought Floyd Mayweather won almost every round, but somehow Canelo even got a draw on that card. So that's going to be I think that's going to be the biggest hill for Daniel Jacobs to overcome. And Daniel Jacobs is really going to have to beat Canelo Alvarez very convincingly in order to get a decision, for right or wrong. I really do believe that. But if this was just two guys fighting in a gym and we didn't have to worry about all that stuff that I just mentioned, then I'd say, hey man, I give Daniel Jacobs a good chance of beating Canelo. I give him a good chance of beating Canelo. At first I thought it was 51-48. Check my math. 52-48 for Canelo, 51-49 for Canelo. But really, man, right now I might switch that up, man, and say, 51-49 for Daniel Jacobs. Just off of his listening to his approach for the fight. One of the things about Daniel Jacobs, man, and I think Daniel Jacobs is one of the smartest guys in boxing. He's very intelligent. He's very aware, kind of like another guy that, isn't really, doesn't have the best image in the public right now, Keith Thurman. I just think when I listen to these guys talk about boxing, it's just very clear, man, that they have a very good understanding of what's going on in the ring, and they're just highly intelligent individuals all around. So I would give, like I said, if it wasn't for the political side of this, I would give Daniel Jacobs a good chance, to win this fight. But we can't erase those politics. They're there. It's been proven time and time again. Just like what Daniel Jacobs said about Lara, I thought that Canelo Alvarez clearly lost to Israelandi Lara. Let me rephrase that. I scored that fight for Israelandi Lara, and I didn't think that fight was close. Austin Trout, I would have given that fight to Austin Trout as well. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's just because the guys are southpaws. It could be because these guys have very, very good jabs, and they have got good footwork, and they're just excellent fighters. Austin Trout is a great fighter, and so is, especially at that time, I believe he was coming off of beating Cotto, and I don't think too many people thought Austin Trout was going to whoop Cotto like that. And Israelandi Lara, man, his skill is just, everybody knows how good that guy is. Ben is, Anyway, so Daniel Jacobs, I think, is that level and that caliber fighter easy. I think he is. And I think that there's a very good argument that he had already beaten Gennady Golovkin before Canelo Alvarez did, except for the one knockout that happened, which was kind of a funny knockdown. I don't think he was really hurt. But that again might be Daniel Jacobs' Achilles heel is the fact that he's been knocked down by Sergio Mora. He's gotten beat Was it Pirog that beat him? But he's got his own problems as well. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to the fight. It's coming up on May 4th. Man, I don't mind not paying for it on DAZN, man. So it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.